put this on so that way it's a little higher up. Yeah, I think that should work. Yo, how's it going? I'm about to draw for 12 hours straight, roughly. Oh god, is this gonna be too slippery? I think it's gonna be too slippery. Yeah, because it's a fucking cup. What did I expect? I think I can use my iPad, though, as a kind of thing to hold it. Oh, I'm cheating. Oh, shit, that works. Okay. Yep. So I'm drawing for 12 hours straight, roughly. And I need to begin. So let me do that. This is for my college course, so that's going to be fun. Okay. So, oh, Jesus. This is for our week, 8, I think? I think it's week 8 on values. Let me set this down over here. And as a result, I have to get used. Okay, well, I guess while I'm shaking the table. Oh, wow. You know what? I was kind of hoping this would more evenly distribute. But, oh, yeah, there we go. This is my first time doing something like this, so I'm going to have to just really go at it. I need kind of like a nice grayscale in the middle. Fuck, it can go dark so easily when you're going side to side like this. Let me hold... Okay, I'm gonna set y'all down real quick so I can hold the table and stop it from, like, fucking collapsing on me. You know, I have some charcoal dust. I could probably do that. Yeah, you know, I do have, like, charcoal dust. So I very well could just kind of charcoal dust it. See, this shit needs to go like edge to edge. Yeah, let me do that. I'm just gonna make some charcoal dust and try it out that way. Can't have any large chunks though in the dust. I'll lift up my camera shortly once I've successfully grayed out my paper. I didn't expect it. Starting this live stream, I did not expect it to fight back on me. So. Alright, just dust it up. See now, this is what I'm talking about. There's a few lines in here now that I'm gonna have to work out, but I feel like that's not gonna be that bad. See, this is a grayscale I can generally work with. I mean, sure, you got the edges, which aren't all that grayed out, but you know, it'll work. So let me put y'all back, and I'm actually going to see if I can't put like another cup, maybe. I want to put it where it's not going to obstruct the camera. So I think right there. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Well, now time like the present. Let me do this. And this is my willow charcoal. I know I have vine charcoal somewhere. Oh yeah, the timer is ticking, by the way, so I'm really burning daylight here, literally and figuratively. Okay, no, I definitely had a whole, like, new thing of vine charcoal. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, so I'm gonna get a longer piece, just that way I can pretty effectively really reach in there. Oh, there's a little tiny piece of fine charcoal. Well, now it's on the floor. Okay, I'll pick that up later. You know, I have cats that have no survival instinct, actually. Maybe I should... No, I don't know where it went. Okay. Huh. All right. Here we are. Hello, Vine Charcoal. So, what I'm going to do is basically I have an absurd still life set up. In fact, it's stupid. I fucking hate it. It is this. So you can see here I have a black remote, a transparent, basically, glass, some keys, and crumpled up, like paper towel, a chessboard, a bottle of like hand lotion, and then a mirror reflecting that back. Now, for this study, I'm gonna get the batteries out of the way. For this study here, fuck it, I'll include a battery. Okay, for this study, no, because I'm gonna use that battery to fill up my flashlight. Okay, yeah. So for this study, we're doing values, and what that's going to pertain to is later on I'm going to need to start doing shading and properly construct, grayscale kind of light values. Now I'm not going to do that immediately because I don't have a desk lamp with connected to a power outlet, so I'm going to draw all the forms. And then what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to turn on the light and work on the shading. But the forms first, just so that way I'm not wasting battery power. And I'm going to have to do the forms first anyways. I'm going to take my Vine Charcoal and just break it up, have a more manageable piece. And for those of you who have never done this before, I guess I'm your introduction. Oh shit. Welcome. Now for this here, I'm going to have to make this literally edge to edge. So I don't know why I'm putting a guiding line right down the middle, but I guess I will. This section here, separated by the rubber band, I'll do that separately. I might actually leave the rubber band hole in there. I think that'd be fun. All right. So I'm going to go based on the highest point right now, which is directly the top, right? And I'm going to make another guideline because that chessboard bends down a little bit, at least visually speaking, right? Granted, it's bending towards me, but the perspective, therefore, looks like it's going down. Now, this is convenient, at the very least, because I'm including the mirror in this. So technically speaking, if I wanted to make it simple for myself, I would move over a little bit and center myself in the middle, kind of. And now you can see the whole thing. So by doing that, technically the right, or my right side of the chessboard is middle. Let's see, it's about... Let's see here. I'm using Vine Charcoal to measure. It is the... Okay, so the middle is the line of, like, 7 and 8. So... Shit. Alright. That's the middle. Which means I'm going to have to assume I'm using... I'll go based on this and I'll extend out as I need to. So. Now if that's the middle, then it actually ends very quickly afterwards because most of it's taken up by the mirror. So roughly speaking, right around here would be kind of the edge of the checkerboard. Now, it doesn't dip down very far from this point. In fact, if this is the top, we're starting off a little bit lower and ending right around here. I would give you like a bird's eye view, but I'm not going to do that. So, no. Now, it's a very shallow angle, so I'm going to just kind of go over it a few times until one of my lines feels right, which... about there. It's extreme. It's almost flat. It's like 2 degrees. Now, from here, I hate the fact I chose a chessboard because now I have to worry about drawing all those squares with the wood texture on them, no less. I'm really not doing myself any... I'm really not doing myself any favors. Now, let me do some measurements here. You see, I have the width of the composition, which is about the length of my Vine Charcoal if I hold it up to a certain distance of my eyes. I'm going to match that. And by doing so, I find out that the middle of the chessboard is about 1/4. So I was pretty close. It's right around here. So I usually eyeball it, but for measurements like this, sometimes I second guess myself, and I'm like, you know what? It might be better if I don't eyeball it. Okay. So that means that this is the highest point, going to right around here. And it might be a little bit higher than that, because it is a hair's width. But I'm exploding this outwards in size on the paper, so I was actually pretty close, hair's width. So, yeah. There we go. So that's an easy part. Now, thankfully, it going down, hi cat, it going down is straightforward. So therefore, we have this. This is just a straight line down. Now, granted, it's interrupted by a break in the board, which is then going to have the hand lotion bottle in there. Now, I cannot measure from the bottom of the chessboard to the top of the chessboard, half and half, because the composition's bottom is the object that is closest to me and lowest in elevation. So therefore, it would actually be the tip of this remote right here, which compositionally is considerably further from the bottom, or bottom of the chessboard. So, therefore, looking at the whole length of the composition, right? Which I'm just gonna use the vine charcoal for. And assuming that my vine charcoal is equal to the length of this, just for perspective, right? Then we're gonna say that it is about it's almost like 2/5. Wow, how do you measure that, huh? Well, there is one way to do it. Look for the halfway point, which would be... Oh, fuck me. Okay. So my chessboard splits, right? That split just so happens to be about halfway in the composition. You would think, oh, well, that's because the chessboard splits down the middle. No, that's because the split's at an angle. And so the edge of that angle is lower than the actual middle of the chessboard. So that split happens right around here on this line. Now, granted, that split is also a little bit inwards. So we use another measurement line to denote that the edge of the chessboard is right around here for the split. And I mean, if I don't get the whole composition, and if I find out that I was a little off with my measurements, and so I'm a bit zoomed in than I ought to be, fine, whatever, it's cool. I'm not too super stressed about it. I just want to make sure I get the whole paper filled out with something. And I put most of the interesting stuff kind of straight towards the middle, or bottom. So you're going to have that, and the mirrors reflecting so I can get detail in. That's not going to be an issue. So here I have the split. Now, and this is going to be where it helps me out. Now, I said that the middle of the chessboard is about this line right here. So what I can do now is this. I can say, well, this is kind of the line where the split happens. The split is not the middle compositionally, I don't believe. If it is, then that means that the middle of the actual chessboard is above the compositional middle. Which, would you look at that? Looks like it is. Yep, okay. So let's just say the middle's right around here of the chessboard, which means you have kind of an angled piece like that. Now again, I'm eyeballing it. What I'm going to do is I'm using vine charcoal, which is very easy to erase. I'm going to then kind of go over and just make sure I adjust everything once I've started to get everything kind of set out. Now from this, you know what is horizontal? Basically the top piece. So therefore, if this is a horizontal line, right, it's almost horizontal. So therefore, I can do a straight line up, or across and then up, right? And so what I have now is I have my bottom chess piece, I board my top chessboard piece, And as I draw more, because you're at an odd angle, sorry about that, it's going to become a bit clearer. Now, I'm going to have to actually disconnect my paper, I think, from these clamps, because I'm going to... There we go. Let me actually constrict the phone a bit more and see if that doesn't make it a little bit easier for you. Okay. So I'm going to unclamp my paper, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw as close to these holes as possible. Now, another fun fact. The chessboard is just about straight on, and so as a result, it's mirrored, which means this edge is going to be right over here, perfectly aligned. So therefore, I can say that it's going to be right about there. And another cool thing, there is a slight curve, not one that I could actually measure and quantify. So I'm just going to say that the top is like barely off, and the bottom is... It's so hard to actually measure. The bottom is just about on, so there we go. Now, I didn't actually do a proper measurement for where it ends kind of down here. Just did a general guess. Let's see. Use my measurements again. Well, the length of the composition not leave much information to be given. So, I'm going to have to really eyeball it for this one. It is about... about 2 squares. The bottom actually is right around here. So, I'm just going to put a mark right here for now. And again, I'm not trying to make it as accurate as physically possible right now. All I'm trying to do at this moment is just make it to where... Also, the bottom is actually tilted slightly. So it's going to look like that. There's going to be a bit of a decrease in elevation. I'm just trying to get it as accurate as I can with the limited knowledge that I have. So, which is basically all I can see. That's it. That's a lot, but there's some things in that, you know, can't be controlled. Now, we know our seam for our chessboard's right there. Our middle's right here. So therefore, we will just kind of connect that up. Now, one thing that I do, and so with figure drawing, you're not supposed to draw what you can't see. And the reason why they suggest against that is because getting in the practice of drawing what you cannot see will start to cause issues in that you'll begin drawing what you think should be there as opposed to what actually is, right? If you are drawing a person and you know that person really well, right? And so you know their face front and back, or at least you know how you perceive them front and back. You might draw their... If you're doing a portrait of them, you might draw their face differently than how it looks. You're going to draw what you ideologically see as opposed to how they actually look. Think of looking in a mirror versus an inaccurate self-portrait, right? That's what you want to avoid. So what you're supposed to do is draw what is actually honest to God there. Thing is, when you're dealing with geometry, in this case, the middle of the board's obstructed by a crumpled piece of paper towel, right? I can't see it. But to make sure I have the geometry of my angles right, I still draw to a converging point and I will erase it. Because what I care about is the angles here that I'm drawing and seeing how they follow through in space. So, for something like a square, where I'm just trying to make sure it's square-like, I do that. Now, let's see here. So I'm already noticing issues. First off, this is really big on my paper. It's also not proportional. So let me take a look here and see if I can't narrow down the issue. I'm going to say that this top square, right, is perfect. I'm going to say that this line here is an anchor line. All right, I'm going to keep that in mind, right? Now, perspective included, it really is just about head on. So it is almost the same width as it is height. So I mean, that's pretty accurate. If I were to do this and then just rotate, that's pretty good. The angle is off, though. The angle is off a little bit. So I should actually make this lower. Because I'm not trying to exaggerate proportions. I'm trying to get it as accurate as I can. And then with that, this angle is also off. Now, let me double check. Is the width or is the height of the top quadrant of this chessboard the same as the bottom quadrant? Almost. The bottom quadrant's actually slightly taller. So if I take this length here and go here, notice how this is too small. So, therefore, if I tighten up this angle, which I need to because it is at an odd angle, that fixes it that's closer to fixing it, right? It fixes it a bit more. It's not there yet. This needs to go down to here. So I can get rid of this line here. I know that the geometry is not accurate. Now, next thing is that these two lines should be perpendicular, right? They are extremely close to such. As a result, let me do this. 2 points down here. This is... Nope. My drawing was off. There we go. This is kind of what to expect. It's already starting to look more solid now. When your proportions are accurate, your object will look solid. If it is not accurate, it'll look not solid. I don't really know how else to describe it other than just it'll look like it's a solid object. Now, the point of this piece is a little bit higher up in my perspective than this side of the corner of the chessboard. And that needs to go, therefore, down here. It's very slight, so I'm not trying to exaggerate it. There we go. Hey, that looks better. Okay. So we have our chessboard in now. Let's work on the lotion bottle. Lotion bottle kind of starts off intersected with this piece here. It's behind it. And it then goes up to right around here. If we're being specific, I can add in a border on this. All right. And that border there we go, is indicative of the coordinates. So like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, etc., right, of the chessboard. Let me just make sure I have that right. And then in here are 4 squares. So if I wanted to just kind of do a quick thing, I would add a line in the middle, add a line on each side and bisect, or not bisect it, quasi-sect it? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not sure if it's quasi-sect, if it's quad-sect, bisect twice, bisect. I don't fucking know. But generally, you just break into 4. So this kind of gives me a cheat into measurement lines. Drawing the chessboard fucking sucks, but at least this is going to help me out a little bit until I have to draw each square. So now I can say, well, the lotion bottle, looking at it, its top is right below the top of the first square. And its top is actually outside mostly of the chessboard piece, or like the chessboard. So its curve is going to look like this. Kinda. Now, right around here is where the top of the bottle is. So, therefore, now we have the top of our lotion bottle, roughly. It does go in a little bit, but it does not go past the border of our chessboard piece. So there are our chessboard object. So it's still obstructing it. And then it goes here behind itself. Now this goes up at an angle. So it's going to look akin to this. Immediately I notice an issue. What I'm drawing here proportionally is shorter than what it actually is. So now I have to come up with an idea. Is this too short? Is this too small? Don't know. Let me take a look here. It could be that this bottle piece is too wide. So let me actually do a more precise measurement. I'm going to get a shorter piece of willow charcoal. That's my precise measurement, thank you very much. And I am going to make it, in my perspective, the same size as that top, which just so happens to be about the same width. A little bit shorter than this. So if this is it, then right about here. It should be a little bit shorter. So the issue in this case is that the top was too wide. As a result, it was making everything look shorter than it ought to be. So we do have a little bit of a lip right here, so I'm going to include that now. It goes down, and technically it actually goes down to about the bottom of this coordinate square, right? Which is going to be right down there. So it's going to go down to here. And from here, just make a little kind of like half ellipse, I guess. And this half ellipse just denotes the geometry of kind of the top of the bottle. Then from here, now you know what I'm noticing? This gap is too small. So it needs to be wider. Okay. And now, with that wider gap, this proportion is accurate. Okay. So now we have our chessboard and we have our bottle top. And once I've made my way through most of the objects, I will actually show you what I'm able to see on my side, and you'll get an idea for what I mean, kind of like where we're at. Now, thankfully, the bottom of our lotion bottle is just about aligned with the bottom of the chessboard. So I'm going to add in a line here that shows its bottom. Now, it does narrow in, and would you guess it, it narrows in around the middle of the bottom segment of our chessboard. So I'm going to add in our line here. That's pretty accurate. I'm going to add in our other border line for our chessboard, again, just so I can use this as an accurate form of measurement. Again, I can't see the bottom border except for about half of it, but I'm still going to draw out a straight line to make sure that it is confirmed parallel with everything else. So now I have a bit more detail here that I can work with. So yeah, the bottle is going to narrow right around the middle section of what I'm seeing. It happens to be a little bit above, technically, the middle, so it's going to be like right around here. So therefore, I can just put a quick little line right here, and I can, just for the sake of it, do this. It flares back out, and also let me make sure that this is symmetrical. It flares back out at about the top of our chessboard edge. And notice how my flare out was way too pronounced when I was going up. Probably not, but it was. So I'm going to just adjust it and make it less pronounced. I'm not trying to, again, I'm not trying to characterize. So now we have our next object. This is not a measurement line, so just keep that there. What I'm going to do next, hey Savion. What I'm going to do next now is I'm going to focus, I think I'm going to focus on the paper towel in the middle. Now for this, I'm going to need to re-bisect the bottom part and bisect each half to make my squares. Now, just glancing at it, I could not tell you what the vanishing distance is, or where the vanishing point is for each thing. Hi, Cat. It's so minuscule that I think we can negate it. Don't give in to him.
Just because your streaming is all silly. I mean, I don't know.
Oh no, he's gonna meow no matter what we do. If I let him out, he'll come back in 5 minutes and start meowing.
Yeah.
He's just a wacky cat like that. Okay, so I gotta really make sure that these chess squares are as even as possible. If they are not, it will become glaringly obvious as I draw more. So they're pretty even, I'd say. Just about. And when I go over with pencil, I'll be able to iron out the details. With this, no, you're not going out. That you just came back in. No, you're staying in. No, you can cry all you want. All right, so let's do the paper now. The paper is about at the top of our second middle square. It's right around here. So what I'm going to do, and it actually crosses over the middle to right around here. So I'm just going to add in a quick little line right there. Now actually, you know, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be strict on myself. It's actually a steeper line than that. So I'm not going to fix it later. I'll just fix it now. There we go. Okay, let me actually add in all the other squares now as well. Okay. Well, let me make sure that this is accurate. Now, as I draw, there is the added issue that other items that I'm drawing over are going to become more and more faded as I go, just because I'm rubbing my hand on it, right? So there's that. Now, let's see here. Right around the middle, I'm noticing yet another glaring issue, right? These squares aren't even. So I'm just going to try again. And I'm going to keep trying until I get it right. This is what I get for doing a fucking chessboard. Because you know how easy it is to tell something is not straight when you're handling a grid? Couldn't be easier to tell. So as a result, I really need to get this right. And by the way, I'm actually going to start doing pencil a little bit, because there are some things that I know are accurate, so I'm going to try and preserve them with a pencil. One thing I know is right isn't actually the chessboard, it's the lotion bottle. That I am confident in. So I'm going to just do a light outline that I know won't be easily erased. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight, because you can erase a pencil, it's just harder to erase. But I mean, you can do it. There we go. So now I just have something that's not going to rub away on me and then disappear forever. Alrighty. This is the difficult part. These squares here are generally just difficult to do. Because I am working with an accurate square. The issue mainly pertains to just perspective and lots of squares. But I got it. Okay. Let's go back to our big piece of charcoal. So, next up, the tissue goes across the bottom left corner of our second middle square. So it goes across that and down. And then immediately there is another little section right here of paper towel that has a piece going across and then down. Okay. Here we go. And we're actually going to leave the chessboard and we're going to start drawing further outside of it now. And this tissue, right, this like crumpled tissue paper towel thing, this is going to be a good measurement. So here we go. And we are now yet again out of the chessboard. So let's go back into it for a quick moment though, just to make sure that I'm accurate. Let's use another measurement line respective of the tissue paper, and we are going to then measure out this next bit here. So I'm gonna get the contouring of the tissue paper done sooner rather than later. It goes down and loops. There is a curve here at a not obtuse, it's almost a 90 degree. It's almost a 90 degree. And then it starts to bend down and goes straight down. It then curves out a little bit before it leaves the border of the chessboard. And it curves fully out as it leaves. There's another piece that kind of folds in on itself. It's more like a contouring than it is actually a fold, but more or less. Okay. Here we are. So, there's also another piece up here, technically, that goes along with the fold. There we go. It actually then kind of goes back in on itself here, as well as down at an angle. And I'm adding a bit more detailing than maybe I should, but I'm not super worried about it. Okay. Whew. There we go. The real weird thing is I'm really close to the edge here. Technically speaking, I think it's actually going to fit. I don't foresee there being much of an issue. Now, I'm now going to focus on the glass. I have most of the tissue done, but to get the bottom accurately measured, I have to make sure I'm measuring it accurately against other items. Now, the edge of our glass just so happens to be at the middle of the H8 square. So, I'm going to start there. Now, it does curve out, and it actually curves out almost to the edge of the board. So I immediately know kind of where it's going. Now, it goes a little bit past this. So if it's curving out, it does not hit its peak curvature until after it leaves the edge, and then it kind of goes back in on itself. Now, to measure it going back in on itself, that's going to be a toughie. Because again, I'm working with very little reference outside of the chessboard. Happens to be a little bit wider than a square, or a little bit, I guess, longer than a square. So therefore, right around here. And here's the thing to worry about. When you're handling ellipses, right? Ellipses? I think ellipses is 3 dots, right? So ellipses, or like half ellipses. Oftentimes, the bottom or top are going to be desynced. So if you're drawing the top on one spot and the bottom on another, do not put them at the same longitude. It can happen, but it's not the most common. It's not going to happen all the time. So don't do yourself short by creating a perspective that's not there. Okay. The other corner of the glass goes to the kind of outer edge bottom right of G8, or sorry, H8, and then continues to curve. And it's going to meet up with itself. There we go. We now have the lid, or I guess like the lip, of our glass. So, let's continue drawing it. The contouring of the edge of the glass follows along and finally dips beneath the chessboard grid at around H7. Kind of like bottom left of H7. So we're going to do that. The bottom of the lid, the bottom of the glass goes a bit perpendicular. I'm going to eyeball it for now. Just going to kind of put it there and not worry too much about it. So next, it exits the board, right? A little before the middle of, what was that, H6? So it's going to go right here. I guess using a chessboard does have its perks when it's not bullying me. So now here's the thing. This glass, by the way, is at an angle, right? As a result, I need to capture that angle very specifically. If I'm not careful, it'll just look like an oddly shaping glass going straight across. I cannot let that happen. That is not what it is, right? As of right now, I cannot tell which is top and which is bottom. This ambiguity, bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm immediately just going to blur that and I'm going to harden this line. I want to make sure it is readily apparent, right, which side is front and which side is behind. Doing these thin lines and thick lines will help distinguish what I'm looking at. This is of the utmost importance. Geometrical ambiguity is ambiguity. You will not be able to know, therefore, what you're looking at precisely, and that can pose issues. So I'm, again, really going to hammer home the edge of this glass here. Immediately, it looks better, just by virtue of being a bit more defined now. Okay. Now, I already kind of eyeballed it, but generally the glass tapers off and then starts to go into its stem around the bottom of this here paper towel. And it goes at an angle. Now, I can kind of bullshit my guess a little bit on this here, but it's kind of hard to tell 100%. But I'm just going to put a line here. I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, one thing that helps is the bottom of the tissue nearly, just shy of touching the glass. It's extremely close. So I think I actually got it pretty spot on. My only concern is I think the angle of my stem is a little off. So looking at it, yeah, my stem should be a little bit more angled. So I'm going to start it right here and go up. That is because, again, it is going at an angle. Now, see, it's still a little off. It's also curving a little bit, so I should also hammer home that curve. Now, here's a fun thing. Again, perspective. The bottom curve curves a bit more than the top curve does because it's overcompensating for the perspective change. Now, I know the thickness of the stem, which is about that right there. And then what I would see, if I could, would be this. Now, immediately, completing the glass shape, I know immediately it's off, right? First off, I made the glass too short, like the actual glass piece, and this stem is at the wrong angle. So I'm going to shallow out its angle a little bit, get it closer to like x0, y0 kind of thing. I think it's like y equals x. Is that how you make a... there we go. Okay, see, that looks better. How do you make a straight line horizontal? I think that's y equals x. No. No, it's not that. I forget what it is. I'm not a mathematician by heart. I mean, I do program, but not not enough to know math by heart. By the way, I'm gonna finish this up here early. I'm gonna add in my border because I'm going to want to make sure that I can take advantage of the inherent weakness and strength of, again, using a chessboard. So there we go. I now have the grid space ready to be used. So let's use that grid space. Well, immediately again, I know I'm going to bisect this. So let's bisect it. There we go. That's... No. Middle's right around here. Middle of middle. It's right around here. Right around here. And immediately, I know it's off. This one needs to move over a little bit. There we go. I have my grid. So all I got to do now is just straight line down. Now here's the thing. When doing this, I'm immediately going to notice that this paper towel is a little off. So let me just erase that edge right there. Because I'm already aware that the edge of this paper towel here is not supposed to be in perfect alignment with the edge of like 4 to 3 grid. So when I make this straight line down, I know for a fact, right? Also, let me actually solidify this other grid and start working on getting this a bit more permanent. Again, just to make sure that my work here is not erased. Because if it starts to become too faded, I'm not going to be able to actually get any meaningful measurement from it. And that's a no good. Like, I'm already kind of losing it a little bit here on the paper towel. I mean, I know that a good chunk of the paper towel is accurate. I also know that a smaller chunk is not. So I'm just going to cement that there real quick. Make sure that we're good to go. Fun fact, this should actually be up here. So let me see. Carefully does it. Okay. Carefully does it. This grid was a little too high anyways. Carefully does it. Whew. Okay. So, where was I? Ah, yes, grids. They're fun. Now, because of the fact it's a mirror image, I know that the actual angle is pretty spot on too. So therefore, I will just kind of mimic right now the general grid layout. I'm not going to go too in-depth on it. I just want to be able to get that paper towel right. So the paper towel is actually supposed to be kind of like right here. So I'm going to add in my line and begin to flesh out, again, more of this paper towel. Okay. I can also rub away this part of the grid now. Since it's being obstructed, I should get rid of it. There we go. Now, this grid here ends. And by the way, I can actually see just about the whole line of the 3 to 4 kind of coordinates. So I'm going to just draw that whole line. There's a part of it where it's barely obscured, so I can fade that out, right? Now, there is a point here, which means right around here is where the other grid piece goes, right? We know that. There we go. Let's just add that line in there. This like piece of paper goes perpendicular to here, and then it starts to curve up and meet right there. That is a considerably more accurate like a piece of tissue paper. And then it passes this grid line, right? before curving out and going back to kind of like parallel to itself. So there we go. Add in the curve here. I'm using pencil right now just because I'm extremely confident now in kind of where it's at. So I have no corals there. All right, there we go. We've lined out now a good chunk of the paper towel. I've gotten a good chunk of the glass drawn on. Now what I gotta do is I have to focus on the edge of the glass and then the clusterfuck of keys that I decided to throw in there too because I thought it'd be funny. Let's do vine charcoal for this bit. Make sure I'm not making any mistakes I'm going to regret. Now immediately, right, first off, I already made my measurements so I can complete the grid. I'm going to do that first and foremost before I do anything else because, again, I'm going to use this grid as a means to measure out the glass and later the keys. So there we go. I don't actually need to do the horizontal ones. I'm going to avoid doing that for now just because I'm a little worried. I want to make sure that I'm careful with it. So let's get the more time-consuming stuff out of the way. Procrastinate a little bit. Not pencil yet. Now, between 2 and 3, which is the middle of each, is like the middle of the lower left quadrant, right? That is where this glass here ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little line here right at just kind of 2, like right at the line of 2 and 3. And I'm going to begin preparing its ellipse. Now, it very quickly finishes its ellipse. The pinnacle of it is right around the same latitude, right? Yeah, latitude as the end of the stem. So that's useful. What I will do, therefore, in the negative space is pretty short between the actual board itself and the glass. So what I can do is I can start to build the upper left of my ellipse, and then thusly the bottom, or the upper right. Now here's the thing. The ellipse and then the connecting piece of the stem are two different things, but they look very similar. They're different, but because it's glass, it all bends into itself. So I'm going to have to make the ellipse, but also make the stem, and they're almost the same shape. Now here's the thing. I made my measurement line. That is not the actual shape of the ellipse. It is a bit more tilted than that. And that is because, again, the glass is at an angle. So I'm going to keep that in mind and continue doing that. To give you an idea, the pinnacle of the ellipse on the right side, right, the inner part, is almost in line with the first line I did here on my grid. So we have to keep that in consideration. So I finished that. The pinnacle of the ellipse is actually, for me, it's actually a little bit below the stem. So indeed, it is kind of right here. Thing is, though, that pinnacle then almost immediately recedes quite quickly into its kind of back piece. Now, this is going to be an odd shape for me to do, so I'm going to struggle with this. I'm going to struggle immensely. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to eyeball it first, and one thing I like to do, digital and paper, especially if I'm not using pen on paper, right, is I will shape it out, and then I will adjust it as it needs to be fixed, right? That way I can see what's wrong with it, and I can fix it accordingly. So, there we go. I'm going to really quickly go with pencil over what I know is good. That way it doesn't get rubbed away on me, because it's currently doing that. And then we'll take a short break, and I will show you what I have. Okay, here's what I have so far. Check it out. Ta-da! There we go. We're getting closer. You can see that the the base of the cup leaves some room for improvement. It leaves a little bit to be desired. So that's going to be one of the things I need to fix. Now, not too bad though so far. Most of this, oh shit, don't leak water on my fucking paper. Don't do that. Okay. I didn't realize that you were just gonna spill like that. Shit. Okay. Thankfully, it wasn't over any part that I already drew on, so by the time that's dried out, I should be fine. Okay, now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to measure out this ellipse here and just, again, try and get everything fixed up. The width, again, this is such a weird one. This is off. This is off. The top is good, the bottom fucking sucks. So I need to figure that out. That's going to be the part I need to fix up. I'm going to get rid of what I know is good. Now, what do we know? We do know that the ellipse actually goes beneath the invisible edge of this glass here because there's a remote in the way. But again, just to make sure my geometry is right, draw what it logically goes into and then go over top of it. So I know that the ellipse actually ends down here, right? It also, mind you, is going to peak at its bottom part, right? Before it reaches the same longitude as here. So we are going to have it peak down there and do that. Immediately looks better. Now, let me also make sure that I didn't make it too long or too short, right? It's a little on the longer side, so I'm just going to shorten it a little bit. All right, there we go. Whew. Now, and because of my earlier work with making sure this lip here is evident which one's front, which one's behind, you now can see the proper perspective, along with the fact that the shape complements. Now, let's actually not use this yet. I think we can shape out a bit more. Next is the bottom of the like napkin paper towel, right? Its bottom is very close to the kind of shallowing point of the glass, its bottom edge. So I can do this, it curves out and connects with what we already measured for the chessboard. So we're good to go there. Oh, hey, look at that. Some of my stuff is starting to get graded. Nice. How the bell tolls. This assignment's due tonight. All right. So, let's see here. We have some negative space. It's not too much, but it's going to be enough to kind of even this out. Actually, there's a kind of a shape with this like towel, which is almost like a pentagon. So that kind of helps to follow that through. So right here, it goes diagonal until it reaches down, and then it goes up a little bit and right across. We now have our outline of our paper towel. We have the outline of our glass, which is mostly what glass is, that and reflection. We'll get to the reflection when we do the shading and lighting. Right? It is about 12:30, so I have 11 hours left. What I'm going to do, let's get rid of that little measurement line for the negative space, is we are now going to focus on let's do the remote, just get that out of the way, and then we're going to do the keys. Can you tell that I dread doing the keys? Because I do. I do dread doing it. So what I'm going to do is the remote here intersects with the curve, and I'm going to use my chessboard for this actually, because again, I have measurement lines going down. That's the chessboard lines literally going straight, please. So, anyways, they're going mostly straight down, but I can cheat. I can use a straight line and then just measure it from the edge of the chessboard. So doing so, right, it intersects around the middle of H6. If you go straight down from H6, right here, it intersects, the remote does, right there. So I'm going to put a line here. This is the intersection point where the remote overlaps this here glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to work on my contouring. Now, the remote is at an angle as well as the glass, right? Cool me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to begin just planning out that angle, right? It's not the sharpest, but it is substantial enough. Okay. Now, the intersection point again happens around a straight line down from, was that 7 to 8 line. So I'm going to then, therefore, do that. Basically, there's two intersection points. There's the entering and exiting, and I just tracked both. It's a curved remote too, so shows me you're right. Only thing is, though, it's not that curved, so I'm actually going to straighten out the line a little bit. But we have our intersection point. Now, the remote just kind of continues on, right, in a nearly straight line. So I actually can't see the bottom of the remote on my paper. Now, the top of the remote, right, or the perspective top, technically the bottom's at the top, right, but, fuck me, continues going in a straight line as well. Or again, it's mostly straight. There's a slight curvature to it. And then it goes to right about here. So it does indeed go down. And to tell you the exact measurement, it goes down to right around the start of this curve up, right? Actually, you know what? I just realized that. That's off. Let me fix that. The paper towel I got the angle off. You can tell because I was looking at the angle and I was like, that doesn't track. There we go. And then this needs to go up a bit and back down. There we go. So, right around to the top of that there. And now, this here, looking at it compared to itself, the top segment of the remote, the intersecting piece, the entrance, is actually going up. Perspective-wise, it's still going down. It's just going down less so than, and then it curves a little bit. It's just going down less so than the bottom segment. So it looks like this. Now, it does curve. This line here is parallel. And then it also begins its curve down. And it stays parallel. So let me keep doing that until it's right. And then it also has the bottom visible, which goes at a pretty sharp angle. And that one curves less. Oh yeah, it does. It's kind of hard to tell between that and shadow, but goes kind of like this. No, it's kind of hard for me to. I naturally curve my hand when I draw. There we go. See, I naturally am very unsteady. Whew, okay. There we go, that's the rough shape of the remote. I'm actually going to refine that later before I cement that in drawing. So, or like in pencil. So now we have the remote. Now, let's do the keys. Actually, before I do that though, let me cement a lot of my lines here. And just make sure that they are rock solid. So, I actually made, by the way, this too wide, I think. So, that's why I also did very light lines. Let me use a tiny piece of charcoal. About the same width as a square. So, same width. Should actually be right here. Right? So what I'll do is, let me just, rolled my hand over top of my own charcoal piece. And stop rolling. So here we go. There we are. And you see, that is why I have an eraser and very light marks. Because now I can just get rid of that. Now I did grayscale my paper, right? So this is going to leave a white line, which is in and of itself noticeable. However, as I consistently and obnoxiously rub my hand over everything, it will eventually kind of taper itself out, and it'll re-blend back into the background. Okay. Oh, don't move on. Don't move on me. There we go. Now, I'm actually going to do a double line on this here, with the reason being that there is some slight depth, and this will also help convey the 3D aspect of this board. See, now if I were really funny, I would write the letters on here, and I probably will. So, here we go. Let me now complete the glass. Let me thin it out where the stem intersects. That way, I can later meld it in accurately. Whew. All right, there we go. And then let me now finish this piece, which is going to be the paper towel. Okay. There we go. Here we are. So, more stuff has been outlined. We now have more solid shapes. What I'm going to do next is finally the keys. I'm going to hate this. I'm genuinely going to hate this. So, no better way to do it than to simply get started. So let's do it. Also, let me just finish that little line there. That was messed up. Okay. So the keys. It's kind of hard to tell what I'm looking at, to be fully honest with you, because they're all jumbled up. But here they are, right there. So let's do it. I'm going to start off by measuring the general shape of the keys using negative space and relational proportions to the glass and chessboard. So, oh, fuck my neck. Let's do that first. And then I'll also do the mirror, but that's going to be another painful piece, so I'm going to focus, on this first. Now, there is a ring that I can see on the keys, which actually corresponds with this. So, now either the glass moved or rolled, or my perspective changed, because the negative space. Oh, it's my eyes. I was going to say, because the negative space seems larger, so let me actually readjust that real quick. Let me get rid of the charcoal lines that are on this here outline and see if that inherently fixes it before I start going nuclear. Oh, we're going nuclear. Okay. Basically, all I gotta do is readjust the proportion of the glass. There we go. Yep, that's better. So anyways, the ring. There is a ring on these keys, which goes... It's so hard to tell because now we're getting really small. And once you start getting smaller, perspective gets really difficult to keep track of because both of your eyes are going to see things differently. But I have 11 hours. So I can take as much time as I need to realistically to generally get this right. Alrighty. I'm going to start off by drawing circles. That is because there are a lot of rings. I'm then going to draw just straight lines. I'm essentially, right now what I'm doing is I'm denoting distance and shape with basic measurement lines. The thicker the line, the closer the shape. The thinner the line, the further it is. Is it a ring? Is it a straight line? That kind of stuff. So, here we are. Now, thankfully, a key, a singular key at that, does intersect with the tissue. So, I can do that there. It needs to be a little bit wider. There we go. And I can draw a key in. Then there's another key that also intersects with the tissue and the glass. This key is a weird shape. So if I'm not careful, it'll just look like I don't know how to draw a key. But it is literally just a weird shape. See, the thing is, you need to, when drawing, right, especially if you're doing like a still life or any kind of work where you are mimicking the shape of an object, you need to make sure that it looks deliberate. If you are not careful and you just kind of spitball it all the time, right? I mean, you can spitball when you're doing like your measurements and just kind of get everything prepared. But if you're not careful and you start spitballing too much, now what you will fall victim to is it'll start to look like you just don't know how to draw things. Even if you draw it accurately, if your entire piece is not compositionally like homogeneous, if it looks like there's different styles unintentionally, or if it looks like things are warped per object, then at what point, which object is drawn correctly, which one isn't? You really want to avoid that. So, there is another ring right here. This one's a little bit thicker, so I'm actually going to outline this ring as opposed to just drawing it as a line. And then the ring that intersects it actually does so kind of down here. So I'm going to do that. There is another line. This one corresponds with the edge right here and connects to said ring. Its middle is about the middle of the glass. Down and out. And then connect again. And this ring actually interrupts its geometry, so there's a little bit of line after that before another ring, which actually is the same one as the top, interrupts it. So now because of this, I know that this measurement is off. It needs to go right around here, like so. And so yeah, using all these lines and just kind of going through the motions is immediately helping me make sure all my proportions are accurate. Because as I draw things, I'm going to notice this doesn't connect properly. This doesn't connect properly. This does, this doesn't. And I can adjust accordingly with every single item. I suppose it's a little bit of a brute force way to do it. but it does work. As you realize your shapes, you're going to realize them in multiple ways. You're going to say, oh, hey, this is properly rendered. This looks a little off. The measurement here isn't quite right. And so, I've almost finished drawing most of the key section. Granted, I don't know what I'm drawing. I'm just following what I'm seeing. That's the big thing. You specifically want to avoid trying to draw ideologically what you see. You need to draw quite literally what exactly you see. Doing anything else is going to result in weird things happening. Weird things that you thus, therefore, want to avoid. Okay. Now, boy, here we go. There's another section that's going to really be hard to do. Granted, outlining is one thing. Detailing this is going to be just a monstrosity. But let's give it a shot. This ring goes almost to the edge of the chessboard before it just, disappears? Oh, it's not even a ring. See what I mean? It's not even a ring. But then it does connect down here with this other ring. Then there's something there. Looks like another key that is underneath it. So let's draw that too. And that damn near connects with the chessboard. It's right at the edge. So let's draw it that way. There is something that actually does overlap with the chessboard. And that is another ring. So let's do it. It overlaps specifically barely at the edge of the one kind of section. So it's going to look like this, roughly. Alrighty. Whew. Oh, would you look at that? All of my work on the previous section completely just vanished because I was rubbing all over it. See what I mean? You gotta... I need to start drawing left to right. I actually do right to left, which is not doing me any favors. So, yeah, there is that. Don't know why I draw right to left. It could be because I draw manga, or I'm trying to. That could be it. I don't know, actually, though. You know, to be fully honest with you, I do not know. Okay. Let me outline this before I lose it more. Because I will. I will start to rub all this stuff away. Okay. Now, this is going to be the part that really hurts me. I'm going to try and get as many reflections as I can in. And that's going to be difficult. So I'm going to focus, first and foremost, on outlines, right? We're going to continue doing that. But shortly here, I'm then going to start working on actually properly rendering everything. We are getting to that stage. And to procrastinate on it any further is just going to mean I have to stop drawing. So, sooner or later. Now, there's a ring here. It's doing its thing. And it goes around the glass edge, just barely. Okay. This is not accurate to perspective. I somehow accidentally drew it facing straight toward me when it's supposed to be at an angle. That is because of the hole that I put in there when I was drawing it not being accurate to how the hole in that item actually is. So I'm going to have to fix that. But it's not because of the contouring or shape of it, it's specifically because of the hole. So what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to do 2 outlines. The first outline is the top of the shape. This is going to be kind of like the main contouring, right? I'm going to also just add in the ring there now while I'm at it. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Discord. I'm sure that notification was incredibly important. Add in the back of the ring, and then I'm going to add in here the actual thickness of the object, which will immediately help recontextualize its shape to show that it is indeed at an angle. There we go. Now, next up, there's another intersecting piece here. I'm going to draw this a little bit lighter because it is an inherently lighter shape, right? It's a bronze, brass, whatever key, right? The biggest thing with this is because I'm going to be shading, mostly with pencil, okay? Because I'm going to be shading, that means that I'm going to therefore need to keep in mind the lines I use as outlines as well. If I'm too brash with it, right, when I actually do my thing, what I will notice is that everything will look muddied, or really bad. Everything will look like incorrectly lit. Now, I also haven't turned on my floodlight yet, so that's going to be what I use to really kind of determine shape. Now, the next piece here is going to be a key. A key which is interrupted by a ring. Whew. Lot of shit. Okay. Keep it perpendicular. Parallel, not perpendicular. There we go. Finish drawing now the contour of the ring. It's not super thick. Okay. Continue drawing the key on the other side. Alright, now around the middle of the ring is where the key starts to flare out. It's still at an angle. So what that's going to look like is it's just going to kind of tilt up a little bit and then continue on its course. While the bottom will also start to tilt up in that same direction, but just less so. Okay, more like right here. Now there is another piece right below the key, which is black. So therefore, it's going to look like who knows what's there. I genuinely don't. Again, when it comes to drawing this, I quite literally am just drawing exactly what I'm seeing. As a result, oftentimes I'm drawing things that I don't actually know what they are, because they're too ambiguous. Whether it's a crumpled up set of keys, I mean, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. All I know is, I know that's a set of keys, you know, because I put it there. But, honest to God, I could not tell you what the object is. I guess that means I'm doing a good job. Okay. So, there is a piece here. I think that's my car key, actually. That's going to go right here. There is another piece that goes out. I recognize that, by the way, as my Apple AirTag, I believe. And it's going to connect right there and continue down. And that's going to also be just kind of painted black. Now, there's some more rings here I have yet to actually take into consideration, so we're going to do those too. There is a ring right here, which goes to the bottom of my Wawa card. It is not obscured either. That's an important note. I can draw the whole contour. Okay. There is another ring, which I don't know what that shape is. I'm not even sure if it's the same ring. I think it is. It's a really weird shape, just because of the way that it's kind of cut off from itself. Technically, this needs to be a little bit more straight down. Apparently, it's a wide ring that then curves sharply as it actually gets closer to the glass. So it's going to look like this. And then this here is also uninterrupted by all but the glass. Okay. There's some other weird ambiguous shapes kind of inside of this. I'm going to draw them to the best of my ability. Thing is, they're weird and ambiguous, so I don't actually know what it is I'm drawing, but looks like this. And then I think I actually see the edge of the Wawa card is what I'm looking at as well. Okay, I guess that's something. Here we go. Here we are. Beautiful. I have drawn the keys and other stuff. I'm looking at it right now, and this continues forward and is interrupted by yet another strange object. I don't know what it is, but it's going like that. It's like a little arch of something. And there's another line in here that's... It's another fucking ring. I think that's actually the ring that then connects here. Fuck me. Okay, here we go. No, don't slide on me. Whew! Keys are drawn. Beautiful. And they actually have darker lines and everything else, because I was a bit more confident with them, seeing as how dense they were. Oh shit, there's another key under there. Draw that other fucking key. Okay, this is about the middle of the glass. Middle here. Goes straight across. Goes out a little bit. It's mostly at an odd angle, and there's something else behind there, but I don't know what it is. I will keep this line intentionally light, because there's a lot of weird shit happening with it. A lot of reflections, so I'm not going to go too in-depth on that. What is that noise? Here. Anyways, there we go. Now, quick break. Here's what I have. I have 10 hours left. Oh, hello. So, this is what I have, right? You can see the keys, you can see the glass, the paper towel, the chessboard in its kind of unfinished glory, and the lotion bottle. Now, what I'm going to do, let me set this down. Hello. Is begin the mirror. Okay. Honest to God, I'm doing the chessboard checker like pattern last. I don't care to do that any earlier than I need to. Oh boy, that fucking mirror. I always put mirrors in it. I don't know why I do that to myself. Okay. The actual shape of the mirror is not that bad. It's just drawing what's in it that's annoying. Not super painful. If we're being fully honest here, it's going to be the shading and reflections. It's going to be the worst. But I don't know. I just mirrors, man. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to begin by mapping out negative space. Well, first things first, actually. Quick and fun observation. It looks like the bottom of the mirror stand, at least, the bottom of the mirror stand actually aligns with the bottom. Oh, shit. Okay. So that intersecting point right here, just above that intersecting point, just barely. It's actually where the bottom of the mirror is. So I'm going to keep a measurement line there. And that remote still needs some work, but that's just, we're going to do that later as well. It's not super important to me. Okay. Now, from here, I don't actually know where the bottom is. I just know its height. So I'm going to have to measure out a few other things. First thing is I'm going to have to measure out edge to edge. See if I can find out, okay, well, what is the angle and the height of one corner? I can therefore find the other by intersecting it with the correct height. So we're going to do the closest one to the chessboard, naturally. Now, the chessboard, if I were to go straight across, right, at some point it intersects this line too. So we have two lines that we can use as intersection points to really hammer it home. Now, the actual edge of the mirror, where it connects, actually right next to the lotion bottle, right next to it, is going to be at the bottom of the H, which I haven't drawn. However, the bottom of the H, let's make sure this is straight. No. Oh shit. No way. Okay. So actually, right here, this is where it intersects. It's perpendicular. It's not perpendicular. It's a parallel perpendicular. It's in line with one of the ridges on the paper towel. So there we go. Now, it goes down at a slight angle before it curves more aggressively towards the bottom. Now the thing is that it starts its curve well before it actually reaches the bottom of the contour of the lotion bottle. So with that in mind, I can now begin its angular descent, which is going to go at around this angle. As a result, I have found the mirror. Now, let me make sure that its angle is accurate. So I'm going to rotate and then rotate. It's actually pretty close. It should be right around there. It's a slightly sharp, oh shit. It's a slightly sharper angle, so I should make it a little bit sharper. That's important. Now from there, I mean, it actually does curve, and then it goes back up at a different angle in a different direction. So would you look at that? I have hit my rubber band. It's also too sharp. There we go. Oh boy. Fun. So, now, let me drink some water. I'm a little bit thirsty. Fuck me. Now I have both the intersection point of the mirror's like stand as well as its edge. So, I mean, that's a pretty good start. the mirror itself is considerably higher up. I mean, it's suspended by joints. So I'm gonna have to measure this based off of generally the middle of this section here is where the stand reaches its height before connecting to the mirror, which is higher than that still. The mirror's height is actually in line with right around here. So that gives us something to work with. Now, oh geez. That's 2 notifications at the same time. Wow, wacky shit. Alright. Now the negative space is kind of right around there. It's pretty close. See, the thing is, it bends. So let me see here. It's going to go up a little bit, and then it connects to Then it connects to that base kind of piece, and the arms of the base then curve up. And I see them curving on my side. They are an actual curved triangle, but looking at it from my perspective, it curves and then mellows out towards a straight up line. So it'll look something like this. I think this line is probably the most accurate. There we go. And then it does a little whoop. There we go. We now have the start of our mirror stand. And now what I need to do is the actual circle of the mirror. Now I know its height. I don't know its bottom height, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. It looks like, just off first glance, and you can use like pencils, I've been using that as a straight line to kind of measure things out. It looks to me as though the bottom of it intersects with this intersection right here, actually. So if I do a straight line from here, and again, I don't mind putting measurement lines all over the place because they easily rub off. And once I start doing, actually, let's keep using this for now. Once I start doing my shading, then you're going to start seeing that a lot of the measurement lines are actually going to become darker. Like I'm gonna be darkening that area anyways. So it kind of works out. Now I have the top and bottom of my circle. Thing is, it is not a circle. It looks like a circle. My mind says it's a circle. It's an ellipse. It's just a very wide ellipse. So what I need to do is, again, measurement lines. I need to make sure I do not draw a circle. It is not a circle. So, with that, I'm actually going to draw the mirror last. I'm going to try and draw the rest of the stand first. Now, I do know a few things. The line of H and G is a little bit above, actually, where the corner, or like the back corner of the stand is. So. Oh, no shit. Are they actually lined up properly? A little bit. Oh my god. Yeah, okay. They're really close by, actually. So. Ain't that funny? The bottom of the oh yeah, the bottom of the mirror is slightly lower than the corner. Okay, cool. So that's how you know you did your measurement lines good, because you realize, oh shit, yeah, that is right. So, the corner, I'm going to have to follow an angle for this one. So the corner should be somewhere around here. Now, following angles, looking at it, a fun way you can do it as well is start off with your pencil upright, angle it, and then rotate it to be parallel to the paper. And that will allow your angle to directly correspond with what's going to be drawn on the paper. So, for example, hold my pencil upright, rotate it, and then rotate it down. Angle's right there. So therefore, corner should be right around here. I just kind of found that one out by experimenting, but I mean, logically it makes sense. So, here's the thing though. The corner is of the outer piece. So therefore, it should look something like this. No, wait, no. Too shallow. It's over here. Okay. I have now drawn the angle. I now have that good to go. From here, I can then, let's just darken it a little bit. This is a little easier to track. It's then going to go down at another angle. I'm going to bullshit this one and just kind of keep it generally parallel with this, right? And that should work out. Now, next up. First off, this is too wide. That's thinner. Here's the thing though, don't panic, because I'm drawing the contour, which means I'm drawing the bottommost part of the three-dimensional object here and the topmost part of the three-dimensional object here. This does not take into consideration depth and like lips, edges, stuff like that. So for example, technically speaking, right, especially when you look at it, there is a little bit of a curve right here. And then right here is the width. So therefore, let me make sure I get this right too. That's actually how it's supposed to look, which means this is the bottom, this is the top of the lip. So now you can actually see the top of the lip on the frontward part of our object relative to the top lip of the back part. Now you still can't tell this is a top lip because there's no three-dimensionality to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just already kind of work on adding in our contouring here. Right? Technically this is actually going to be reflective towards the end of it, but I haven't done that yet. And there's actually another reflective piece right here. So we have two lines that we're going to take into consideration. And one of them is reflecting itself, which is kind of what we're seeing. So then it'll look like that. And then there's another contour right here, which actually kind of lines in with our middle. Okay, so now what we have is we have a shape that's far more indicative of some kind of one, reflective surface, and two, three-dimensional surface. From here, we can start to measure things a bit more reasonably. So, let's start off with the back of the stand-up piece. Let's see. It starts off right around this spot, right? It's almost at the tip of the curve. It's just before it starts curving, right? I am then going to simply kind of build that up. I'm not going to do it all the way, though. That's because I know my angle's right. I know that its position is right. And I know that the mirror intersects around that spot. So I'm not going to worry myself being, let's draw it all the way through and make sure it looks right, because I know it's right. Everything so far is proportional to itself. So, I can also get rid of this line now. There we go. And let's just kind of solidify this line, solidify this line, kind of blend it in. There we go. This is not obstructed, so I can kind of do with that what I will. This can be a harder line because this is going to end up becoming a reflection, and I already know that it's all kind of like matched out with itself, so we're good to go there. Now, here comes the next bit. You know what? I was going to leave the rubber band kind of mark in there. I decided against it, purely because it would actually make things considerably difficult, or considerably more difficult for me by virtue. Let me grab some more dust and kind of spread this section out. Mainly because of the fact that, let's gray out this area. There are some measurements that I can make with this stand that I will be missing if I try and be pretentious and leave the rubber band mark in there. Because I thought, like, oh, it'd be cool to show the limitations of the canvas and all that. Fuck me. Fuck you. Me. I'm not doing that. So, let's remove the rubber band. That way, when I'm drawing on it, it's not going to get all messed up. The drawing, I mean, not the rubber. I'm not worried about the rubber band at all. Okay. Let me close these clasps so it's not pushing my paper up super far. And there we go. Now, so we have. Oh, I should not shift. I should stay where I'm at. Otherwise, everything is going to start shifting, and I don't want to do that. I really want to avoid doing that. Okay. Was that key always sticking out there like that? Oh shit! You know what? It might have been. Fuck. I moved around, and now I gotta make sure, is all my perspective still right? Yes. Okay, good. I think, move that chair out of the way. I think that key was always sticking out, and I just ignored it. In which case, there's a key that's sticking out and doing that. Okay, there we go. Fixed. Now, with this stand here, we know where our mirror's bottom is. We know where our mirror's top is, generally. I just now have to figure out where the sides are. I'm going to start off by drawing the other arm piece for the mirror, and this will help me kind of gather that information. First things first, let's actually finish constructing then our shape. Now that we no longer have the rubber band there. I know that its shape intersects like this because I've already gotten all the other measurements right. I also know that it's actually a bit more straight down, so I can get rid of this and do it like that. I also know that the other arm actually kind of starts almost immediately right in this spot, and it covers a good chunk of the contouring, so I can do that. I also know the other arm starts right around here. So now I have the starts of both arms. Where does the actual contouring for the arm end? Well, let's measure it out. It ends a little bit above the line between F and G. So what I'm going to do, hi Mark, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a measurement line right around here. Granted, basically, the arm that's closer is lower in my perspective than the arm that's further away. So if I do it like that, it's going to be pretty accurate. Now, another thing. You know what I'm noticing immediately? This arm's too high. There we go. That's better. So, because I was going to say, I need to make sure that the gap between both arms, relational, is not super substantial. I mean, it's substantial, but it's not super substantial. I'm not trying to, again, make a caricature. Now, again, let's see here. Middle of F. It's the middle of F. So my measurement line was a little off. It's actually more akin to right around here. Okay. Now, let's actually figure out where the arch peaks for our item. To do that, pencil horizontal. Okay, yep. So about the middle, it's upper middle of F, actually. Make sure I'm not bending my thing. No, it's about the middle. So yeah, we have it there. Now, let's see. This is going to be a hard one. If I go based on the whole length of the piece, it ends at the lead. So I'm going to have to do something stupid. Let's put this pencil real close to my eye. And the length of the piece is right there, so, oh my god. Right here, I think? Right there. Wow, okay. Would you look at that? I found the intersection. There it is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to begin constructing the curve. Let me just move this a bit closer to me. There we go. Okay. And this one curves up as well. So it's going to look kind of like this. And then I can just look at it, do some quick measurements, make sure it looks right. Honestly, this looks a little wide, so I'm going to just readjust its curvature and angle a little bit. And get rid of that. There we go. And get rid of the area there. And voila! Here we are. So, we now have the stand. By the way, because now my paper is untethered, I can just kind of pick it up and show you. Here we go. We're getting somewhere. Alrighty. By the way, I have to draw the background too. I forgot to mention that, or if I did mention it, just a reminder, I have to draw the background too. So, ran it to win it. Now, next step, the mirror. Because I have both positions of the arms figured out, I can very quickly figure out the position of the sides of the mirror, right? For example, the edge of the mirror on this side is literally right there, super tiny gap. There is a gap, but it's very tiny. Edge of the mirror here, right? Its pinnacle, kind of. By the way, its pinnacle is actually right here. The pinnacle of the ellipse here is right around this spot. By the way, fun fact, I'm actually realizing that this is still too wide, so I'm going to right here, because it's going to go down like such. There we go. Don't want it to look too cartoonish. Top is here, bottom is here. By the way, bottom is this line rather. The actual location of the bottom, because it's curving, is kind of like this. So, we have the bottom piece. I'm going to try and connect this first. The actual negative space for this section is pretty narrow. Actually, not that narrow though. There we go. Now, I can already tell it's going to be off. That is because it's really difficult for me to draw circles like these. I do know that, again, the pinnacle's right there. I'm going to just draw it as best as I can. And then we'll figure out the rest from that point, right? So we have a circle. It's like, or an ellipse, right? It's like, it's kind of there. Ooh, I'm actually getting a little hungry, too. I guess I'll eat a banana. One moment. Ooh, if I get up, I have to make sure I'm in the right spot. Let me leave my chair in its position. Alright, the chair moved anyways. Sure. Okay, cool. That's fine. now, because if I don't eat now, I'm not gonna eat until like midnight, so I might as well have something. Let's get some charcoal banana. Yep. Pretty good. Maybe I should stream on Twitch or something. Yeah. I could do that. I feel like people wouldn't want... I don't know. There goes the banana piece. I feel like people wouldn't typically want to watch a 12-hour live stream where someone's just drawing for the whole time, but, you know. I think it's relaxing. I mean, I guess it's a little stressful. Right? Just because, you know, it's for a grade. And once I finish the line work, then you gotta do the shading, and that's a whole other can of worms, so. I mean, I guess it's a little stressful, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like I enjoy it. Okay, let me make sure, while looking at it, is everything still proportional? Yes. Oh, hey, Mom, you want to see what I got so far?
Looking good.
Thank you. All right. Whew. This is that mirror is the difficult part. That is because... Oh, I made a mistake. I put the pinnacle of the ellipse on both bottom and top in the same spot, and I said I would never do that. Wait a moment. My perspective has changed. The mirror is no longer in the exact same spot. No, I fixed it. Okay, cool. I just had to scoot back a little bit. Okay. We gotta figure this out now. Well, to start, we're gonna have to build out more intersections. One such intersection is actually at the middle line right here. This is where the mirror intersects. It cannot intersect any earlier or later than this spot right here. So therefore, I know for a fact the mirror should look like this. There we go. The bottom piece. I don't have much of a scale for this one, but I do know that it should technically be more akin to, yeah, right around here. So therefore, if this is where it intersects, it needs to go down here in a circular kind of shape, preferably. Okay. It's looking a little bit better now. Here's the thing. It very quickly begins to go and recover back up. It does not need to have a straight line, though, in it now, does it? Now, the intersection point for the next spot is a little bit below F, actually. So it's a little bit right around here. That's where it needs to intersect. Okay. Oh, look at that. Bottom of the mirror looks good. That's nice. Let's do the top. Top of the mirror. You're a funny one. You actually need to go around right here, which is indeed humorous, because that means that this is off a little bit. Its curve does not stop, it rather does this. There we go. No, don't do straight lines. Why do I always have such trouble doing curved lines when drawing? There we go. That's better. So now, anyways, where was I? This here, its pinnacle. I know where it's in line with, but where it is positionally, that is a considerably harder thing to figure out. It's technically right around here. So I made the pinnacle too early on the side that should be pushing it back. Because again, it's angled. So I need to do it like this. Okay. I now have 3/4 of the mirror done. It's just this last little section. Now, my hand's at an odd angle here. I'm not left-handed, so I'm just gonna have to, again, connect it and hope that it looks nice. I can work with that. Okay. So we have the shape of the mirror done. Why are you all looking at me like that? You can't eat my charcoal. Okay. Let's start outlining a few things just to make sure they stay permanent. Okay. I see now, though, why they gave me 6 to 12 hours, huh? Oh, no, you don't. You're not going to erase on me. I am not letting that happen. No, thank you. Please don't move on me, paper. I'm trying to draw steadily. And when you move like that, it is not easy to draw steadily. Okay. You know what would be nice? A self-portrait as opposed to this. I prefer self-portraits to whatever the fuck this thing is. There we go. I've practiced doing self-portraits with my, pieces for class. Because I thought to myself, the final drawing that we're going to be doing for class is a self-portrait. I would be wise to practice it. And I found out that, at least for me, wow, self-portraits so much simpler for me to do than all of these individual objects that I place in the most sadistic ways possible for myself. I am doing myself no favors by doing this. I mean, granted, a favor I am doing myself is learning how to draw naturally pretty complicated, I think, scenes. Worst part is maybe they're not even complicated. Maybe they're actually really simple and I'm just bad. I don't know. Regardless, I am teaching myself through doing this how to draw more complicated scenes. I'm not supposed to be learning how to draw complicated shit necessarily. I'm supposed to be learning shading, but, it is what it is. And because everything is grayscale, when I start erasing things, it will look very nice. Oh man, those reflections will look spot on. It's been about 2 hours now. Okay. The next bit. I do not want to begin working immediately on the reflection itself. I'm going to next... Wow, my neck is really starting to hurt. Oh man, it's only going to get worse. Next, I want to focus on the rim of the mirror, right? That way, my reflections aren't leaving this rim. Otherwise, I'm going to have to add the rim in afterwards, my proportions will be off, and who knows what will happen. Now, here's the funny thing. The rim over here is actually more pronounced, considerably more pronounced. The rim at the pinnacle is less pronounced, and the rim towards the edge is almost non-existent. So, it's going to look like this. That's looking way better now, though. That rim was helping with the perspective immensely. Taking it from a misshapen mirror to a mirror at an angle. Okay, now I can do reflections. More or less. There's some irregularities in the curvature, but that's just more so on the outside. Man. Let's do more vine charcoal, actually. I'm gonna cement the rim. Because I'm gonna be drawing a lot in here, I will rub this rim completely away. So in an effort to avoid that, I'm going to just cement that now. Make sure that it's not going to be at risk of disappearing on me. That cat is adorable. But, you know, sometimes he'll see a bug, and he'll just start meowing at it while hunting it. And I'm like, okay, Mio, if you're hunting a bug, or anything for that matter, why would you meow at it? That's just going to alert it to where you are. If you want to be a good hunter, you have to stay silent and keep the element of surprise, you rapscallion. Okay. Anyways, enough about my gripes with the inefficiencies of my cat's hunting. Now, the mirror, again, is at an angle. So I need to draw all of the reflections in there at the correct angles indicative of the mirror's angle. First things first, the reflection of the bottle, which goes something like this. See what I mean? I would have rubbed the rim right away. Now I gotta make sure that it's actually accurate to where everything is. So technically the rim of the bottle's right here. And then it goes up. There is, however, another face of the bottle which looks like this. Which then supports the fact that it needs to be tilting and go more towards the middle before going up, like so. So this is probably the most accurate I can do for the bottle. Now, the tissue piece is right around here. Right? It's pretty close. So is the reflection of the fucking chessboards in there, too. Alright. Tissue's at an angle. And then it goes down. It does not reach the bottom. To be exact, it goes down to right around here. So, I'm going to, therefore, emulate that. There we go. It does, however, have a fold that goes up. That connects. It does loop. Goes up, down, and then up again. Like so. There is another curve right here. Kind of like that. Then there is the chessboard, which is right around here, and it actually goes at a slight angle up. I cannot see the chessboard at the bottom because we're looking at the floor. There is a glass in the distance. It is actually the measuring beaker that I have my flashlight on. That is right around here. It looks like this. Then there's the wine glass, which has nearly no negative space between itself and the tissue. There's a circle right here, but it actually continues up as well, like so. Then there's the keys. Fuck me. The keys, there is a ring right here, and actually, should be like that. There we go. The curve actually sticks out a pretty decent amount. More negative space there. There is a ring right here. There is another ring right here. There is another curve right here. And there's another ring right here. There's some more reflections inside of the glass, God forbid. I would have to figure that one out myself. This curve actually is a bit more substantial. There we go. Fuck me. There appears to be some kind of... Oh, I see what that is. Okay. Well, first off, table. Okay. Fuck me. Let me outline the beaker a little bit more prominently. I didn't even mean. There's a cord right here, and there's another cord that kind of goes like that. Okay. There's a box in the background. At least I think that's a box. I genuinely don't know what I'm looking at. What am I looking at? Bennet. Bennett? What? Oh my god, it's that reflection over there. Okay. It's Muscles and Monsters from Ashley Bennett. Okay. Cool. Let me draw that real quick, which is going to be right over here. Very little negative space. And it's going to go down almost to here. Oh my god. And then there's some other thing in the background that's just kind of going up in its own direction. And then there's a paper over here. And some other reflections. Oh, fuck me. Okay. Well, there we go. Something like that. There's a lot in that background, and the details just get smaller. Okay. By the way, I actually got a bunch of new pencils because this sharpener here has been breaking my pencils to hell and back. I'm going to try and use it. We'll just gently set that down here. I'm going to try and use my pencil sharpener, and if it breaks my lead again, I am going to use a different pencil sharpener. Calmly. No. Don't you fucking do it. Calmly. There we go. Just like real gentle sharpening. Just the lead, please. I don't want you to break. I got a bunch of new pencils in anticipation of a catastrophe happening, but I don't want to use the extra pencils if I don't have to. Okay. So there's a few things that I already have the measurement for properly. Quite a lot, actually. The hand lotion bottle. I'm trying not to slide my hand across this and erase all of the measurements that I've just done. I really don't want to do that, so I'm being very careful with it. This here is the tissue that then folds in on itself a little bit. Okay, now to be accurate with this, it does not go down as sharply as I initially pegged it for going down, but it does then eventually kind of bend in, bend out, and then it goes down here. There is a slight protrusion where a fold happens, and it does as follows. It does indeed bend here. There's another bend that's sharper, which is actually a light reflection. Alright, it folds itself up. There is actually a background fold that goes right there that then goes into itself. But there is also a little loop there and another fold inside of it. fun. Alright. There is indeed another fold which actually corresponds kind of with this right here. And then it goes down onto right here. Fuck. Okay. There is a glass. This glass is right here and is a circle. And then there is an extension that bends off and does its own thing because it's reflecting the glass at its angle. Then there's a ring. The ring does this. We're almost done with our outlining, which means we get to the really fun part, which is going to be a bunch of different shading bits that I'm going to have to do. Okay. There's another ring right here. Alrighty, I chose this. I did this to myself. Another ring with a line on it. There is kind of like a black thing. It's kind of hard to see. I think it goes down is what I'm seeing here. This is the table. This is the chessboard. I should probably, therefore, reflect the actual measurement lines in the chessboard, including, but not limited to, this line right here, this line that goes up, followed by this line, actually, let me try and reposition this a little bit, because I'm actually seeing an inconsistency while going through with it. Oh, where'd my eraser go? Okay, I know I'm not blind. I mean, I might be, but... Okay, there it is. Am I able to just, like, rinse this off? So I think my issue is my bottle isn't tall enough. Funny enough. It's the bottle that's the issue. And then it starts to curve after the tissue, and it goes up almost to the top of the actual bottle in real life. Okay, there we go. Had I committed more and used heavier line work, I'd have been fucked. Thankfully, I did not do that. I like using pencil because at least then it makes it sharper and easier to distinguish the details. The downside, of course, then becomes if you're too heavy-handed with it, it will leave permanent marks that you then cannot change. So, oh boy, line right here. Another line. Also, technically, there's like a really thin white line. That goes right along the chessboard. And there is another line right here. This goes up like so. This goes, don't you slide on me, paper, don't you slide on me. There we go. Oh boy, here comes the real fun part. Okay. So I don't know how to make this. This is gonna be difficult. So let me just do the cord first. And the cord is easy because it's gonna be the blackest black dark that you've ever seen, right? So I don't have to worry about shading like lightly. I can just go all in. I have some compressed charcoal around here. Let me grab that real quick. I believe it's over here. I don't know where it was put actually. I hope I don't need to go buy some compressed charcoal because I bought some. I'm not sure where it was. Where'd my compressed charcoal go? I could actually make good use of that. Oh no! Don't fall! Don't fall. Okay, we're doing this. I will be right back. I believe it might be in my room. I do not know where the hell it went. Which, not good. Not good. Let me keep looking around a little bit. I guess I technically don't need to use compressed charcoal. It's just, it would certainly help with the shading. It would help a lot, actually. Like, a lot. Let me do some stuff. We recently cleaned around the house, and, fuck if I know where it went. So what happened? I was not the one who put that away. Oh boy. It didn't fall back here or something stupid or crazy like that? No, it did not. I mean, if I really just straight up can't find it, I will have to go buy some more, which I wouldn't want to leave for that long, but it's still pretty early in the day, so I have 9 hours left. I've been pretty quick with it so far, so I think I can afford to do that. I just, you know, don't yell at me. I'm doing things. No, you can't bribe me. Maybe it's over here or something. We're doing this. Okay. Well. Oh shit. Are you compressed charcoal? No? Is compressed was it put in here? Is it just like sitting around with the rest of these other random pencils? No, it's not. Okay. Well, you gotta do what you gotta do. I will be back. You know what? I'm taking y'all with me. Let's go. We're going on a little adventure because I don't think it's right here. I just have to hope that nothing moves. So, keys. Where did I set my... Fuck! Okay, I can't move my keys. Luckily, I don't need them to get into my car. So, that's good. Okay.